Based on all of that layers of making women comfortable, as a solo guy, it's a little tricky to navigate. If your goal is to go and have sex with new women, you got to do it in a much more delicate, specific way, and that is completely by design.
This program contains coarse language and discusses mature themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome back to The Birds and the Bee with me, Chelsea B. And as always, we have Matt here, producer, in front of the camera, behind the camera.
Hey,
does it all.
You nailed it today.
I did. I've been trying to change it up. And joining us today, we have a very special friend and guest, JJ.
Howdy.
Hello, JJ. So happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit about you, about what you do.
I am ethically non-monogamous. I'm in a super duper open marriage.
What?
Kinkster. I do Icebreakers for New York City's largest sex party. I have a sex podcast.
Yes.
Sexy show where it's basically really goofy and funny. I incorporate a lot of ridiculous games. I was on a Playboy reality show back in the day. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that. Wait.
It was one episode, but
Say more.
I'm just sure. Swing on Playboy TV.
Okay.
Each episode follows a newbie swinger couple, and one episode focused on me and my girlfriend at the time.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I swung.
You swung. I love it. I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the bullet points of how do I,
Do you consider yourself polyamorous, swinging, just like general?
I use the term polycapable. I am not romantic with anyone except my wife, but I'm like really hardcore, like deep connected with my consistent partners. I love the deep connection, but it's more of a, I don't know, sexual, social, psychological, but not as romantic.
Okay.
I guess it's the exact same thing, but using different words. And if that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
What was the term again?
Polycapable. I just made it up.
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't read that
And
in the
I'm
ethical
like adding
slut.
it to like my lexicon.
I should just make up words.
Yeah, I feel like being newer to this like community, I just am always learning new words and terms and
We're
like
Paul-duplerous. It's a new thing.
polyduplicitous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Honestly,
fucking know.
wait till next week. You might have something there.
Probably. Yeah. You do a lot of different things. What are some highlights? What are some of your favorite things,
Like the sexual sizzle reel of my life, or
yes.
No, how you like to do your taxes, actually.
I like the sexual sizzle reel. I'm enjoying your made up words.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I am a big fan of sex parties. I've been to a few.
I've heard.
If I were to estimate, probably around 160, 170 at this point.
Damn, that is a lot.
Yeah.
a lot.
Who's counting though?
You are, apparently.
I did used to know up to like 120. I knew the exact number, and then it fell off. How dare I?
That's fair. I had a running list of everyone that I've ever slept with, and then I started making content, and then I forgot to keep adding, and I was like, all right, this list is getting a little ridiculous.
I actually am up to date on that. I know my number.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the Gen Z is calling it, the body count now?
I hate
Yes.
it. I don't
Sounds
like that.
very impersonal.
Yeah. Again, it's just very like appendage. Like you're just a thing that I did that I can add to my count.
I call it the aura count because it's about connection.
You know what?
I call it the did list.
And here I was going to give you credit.
I like the did list. Yeah.
Yeah, people you diddled with, diddle list.
Yeah. I was telling my sorry, I'm jumping off, but I was telling my sister yesterday about a shoot that I had with a hot mom, and she said MILF, and I said yeah, and then she responded MIDF, like mother I did. And I was like, took me a minute, but
then it'd be like mid female, like is she mid?
Right.
All of a sudden the acronym is.
she was not.
Oh, by the way, it may be shocking that you tell your sister about the OnlyFans collabs that you do.
I do. I tell my sister everything. Yeah.
I'm sure most listeners are like, wait, what? She said sister, right? Like stepsister? No.
No, my little sister.
I tell her sister everything. So I've not revealed this yet to her.
It wouldn't shock her.
I'm very open and like to have live a very sex positive life, which includes sharing all the things with not sharing all of the things. talking verbally about these things with my sister. We veered off for a second.
What? That never happened.
That happens.
Okay, so yeah, sex parties. We have some questions that we've been asked and like to answer, but anything of highlight of note?
Let's start with like what got you started in the sex party scene.
Very complicated situation. I Googled NYC sex party. That was the moment. Literally, it started. And the first one that came up is the one that I've been attached to for about 15 years now.
Have you? And you've always been non-monogamous prior to that, and then you wanted to kind of
not
dive
situationally
deeper?
non-monogamous,
Okay.
but I think I've been kind of built that way. I've been genetically non-monogamous. I tried monogamy. I never cheated, but turns out telling your monogamous partner constantly how much you want to fuck other people also has a negative impact.
Didn't go well?
Even though it's the ethical way to do it. So that long on again, off again relationship did not work out. And then I went into the kink scene a little. But that wasn't sex parties. It was more,
Spanking.
It's a lot about the pageantry and the outfits and the dynamics. And then, I Googled NYC sex party. And the first one I went with a platonic friend who was psychologically interesting. And she's a crazy girl. And we knew we weren't going to hook up when we went there. So we were just wallflowers that first party. She was random friend. She moved out of the city anyways. But like a year and a half later, when I started my first ethically non-monogamous relationship, we tried it right away. And early into that relationship, Playboy helped us out. We did.
I love that. What
yeah.
a fun piece of information.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, the swinger lifestyle was for us.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we just ruined the episode for you.
Damn it.
But you could have inferred potentially.
No.
Yeah. And then, I used to volunteer to get into the parties. And then I'm a huge trivia nut. And so I used to host and write trivia. And the guy who runs the party is a big trivia fan. And he may or may not have been on a popular game show in the U.S.
That's a piece of trivia.
Right, exactly. Everything is trivia. It's like how potheads, everything's a bong. Yes. He was like, hey, you should do trivia at the parties. I did that for a little. I quickly realized does not turn people on to realize how dumb they are. So I switched the game into like a more get to know you kind of game. And
which is how we met.
yes. Oh.
At the party, they'll have like a foreplay event where you just go and meet people who are attending the party that weekend. And you were there doing some icebreakers.
Yeah.
And
You were specifically the icebreaker guy at the party,
Yes.
which everyone that you say, oh, the icebreaker at this particular play party, and they think that's a euphemism. But to clarify, no, it's literally icebreaker games
Yes.
to try to get people to mingle.
yes.
It's my job and it's my passion because an extension of my sexuality is I love hooking people up. I love wingmanning.
I love it.
And I see all these potentials that are, they're stuck inside their heads and they're a little nervous. And I love the process
Yes.
of like being the wingman from afar. And I design the game so people can flirt and learn more about their potential partners without having to even, open their mouth or lift a finger. Like I ask questions about other people sexually and like, oh, she prefers doggy style. You know what I mean?
Oh, making mental
Yes.
notes
Yeah.
for yourself as you're trying to introduce.
Yes.
And it like gives you a level of comfort knowing like, oh, well, hopefully I'll see you. And then because that was my first party ever. And so it was nice to like then go to the party and like have someone to kind of like a familiar face in what can be a very intimidating experience.
Yeah.
So
And I really have fun too with these. They're very like nervous people, but like we'll start a game and they'll laugh, they'll get a little loosened up, and then I'll ask a very direct question, like as a hypothetical, raise your hand if the person sitting to the right to you, without needing any further information, you would totally fuck them. And they're already entrenched in the game that's been
Right.
like lighthearted, so they don't feel as like exposed or whatever.
Right.
And everyone else is doing it at the same time. So like after they raise their hands for that, I'm like, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome.
I love it.
Because now they,
Yes. Feels like you're calling. You're very good at it.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
obviously, that was that was a while ago, and here you are.
I mean,
so.
talking about body count, my wife, before she met me, it was 2. And let's just say it's exponentially more than 2 at this point. I love setting her up as well as anyone else.
Yeah. That's such an interesting, because I just feel like most of the, and like even before I was non-monogamous, I was just such a scary thought for me. The idea of my partner being with someone else, and then, come to learn that it was like my own fears and like my own things that I had to like get over. So it's cool to kind of know yourself and know what you like in that way.
Here's a way to twist that fear to your advantage. Aren't you more afraid of wasting your time with someone that might not prefer you?
Fair.
There's so many other great things to be afraid of.
Yeah, accurate.
If fear is driving you, then just change your trajectory.
Yeah.
And I do think people should be more afraid of, you only get one life, and you don't want to waste your time being stuck with someone, not stuck, but like being with someone who doesn't know for sure where they stand on you as a potential partner.
Right.
So it's a very scary way to do things, but I do know of some people who, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they're like, whoops,
That's a long oops.
Yeah.
I do like, and the reason why I liked you when I first met you is that you like setting up your wife, your partner with other men, and when you go into this world, there's just so much like unicorn hunting. There's so many quote unquote straight couples that are looking for their female unicorn, and it becomes very tired very quickly. And that kind of energy I get bored with very fast, especially when you and I, Chelsea and I, are on Field or some other hookup app, and they're always like, "Hey, can we borrow Chelsea? Hey, can we borrow Chelsea?" And then I'm like, "Ugh, no, like just."
Well, that doesn't make me feel good either, because I want to be with a couple. Like, I want to go out with a couple that wants both of us. I don't want to be with someone that makes Matt feel bad. Like, that's not fun for me either.
I think like getting to that point is fine if we're friends, but if we're just like talking initially on an app or in person at a party, it just gets very old very fast. But the energy that you bring, JJ, it's a different kind of energy, and it's a more communal energy. And even if you and Chelsea have hooked up, we definitely have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We have.
Yeah, remember that?
That was your pussy.
Yeah. Oh.
I recall at this moment. Yeah.
That doesn't bother me so much because there's been like this communal energy that's been building, and it doesn't seem so like narrow and focused on seeing Chelsea as sort of this semen vessel. So
Chelsea B, semen vessel.
Even though you sometimes do consent to that, but it's on your own terms.
Only if they have a vasectomy.
That's why they call her the submarine. The vessel full of semen.
Oh yeah. I'm like, sandwich? A hoagie?
Good. So good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, more about play parties?
Yeah. I mean, we can bring up our first question that we had messaged to us if you want to.
Sure. So it's a very frequently asked question, and it's a question that's asked on all of our accounts, especially when we hosted our own parties for a little bit, is as a single guy, I'm speaking on behalf of someone, as a single guy who is not attached to anyone, who's straight, is there no way in hell I could get into a play party? How does one even go about that if you're a single straight dude?
Every party has slightly different rules to follow. I can speak specifically
to your own experience.
Yeah, to my own experience, the party that I go to markets itself as being a very comfortable place for women. And so this particular party, they have at least 3 layers of filtering to make those women to make them comfortable statistically in terms of ratio of men to women. Where the first layer is when you apply to become a member, they typically accept more women than men. So there's already the ratio of the people who are getting the emails to come to the parties, more women than men. And there's like a little form to fill out about your thoughts on consent and comfort. And you tend to filter out some of the douche bros through,
Of which there are many.
Yeah. Indeed. And so they don't make it past that level. And then the parties themselves, the ticketing is in such a way where both in terms of the price of ticket, but especially in terms of the quantity of tickets, the solo male tickets are the least obtainable. There's a lot of solo female tickets and there's a lot of couple tickets, but solo men, very small percentage. And then when you're at the parties, in the play spaces, solo men cannot get into the play spaces unescorted by a woman. So based on all of that layers of making women comfortable, it's very, at least for this party, as a solo guy, it's a little tricky to navigate if your goal is to go and have sex with new women. You got to do it in a much more delicate, particular, specific way. And that is completely by design because a lot of the parties, especially the ones where there isn't as much of a filter, a lot of women get uncomfortable. I've heard about this at other parties in the city because a lot more men show up and then,
it's a sausage fest, and then women are not eager to play because it's just a bunch of guys around who want to fuck them.
Yeah.
And it's not comfortable.
Yeah. And I will say every party in the city, I feel, goes for a different demographic, a different feel. And I 1000% understand and respect. There are parties that say we should not be discriminating along sex and gender. And so therefore, we're not going to limit men versus women. We're not going to change ticket prices or whatever. And I like that you have options as to which party fits you best. But just know that the ones that they don't have those filter, I feel statistically you're going to have a higher percentage of men than women at those parties typically, unless it's, they have one that are only female parties.
We didn't have that much of an issue when we hosted our own little private parties.
We didn't allow single men.
Well, we didn't allow a single anybody.
That would be why there's no issue.
Right, yeah. We didn't allow any single anyone. You could come as a couple or you could come as a trio. And our method of filtering is we had, an application that you fill out. And then once you fill out the application, every single couple has to have a FaceTime with us, with Matt and I. So then we talk, we kind of go through the questions, anything. So you weren't necessarily, automatically not allowed if this was your first party and you didn't quite answer a question correctly. Like we had a question of there is an intense spanking scene happening in a room. You think it's really hot and you want to join in. How do you insert yourself into the scene? And it was a trick question because the answer is you don't.
Okay.
So a lot of newbies that we had, they would answer it and it would be like, oh, I just slowly walk up and, we'd let them answer that. And then we would just kind of say, totally understandable why you might think that, without your experience, and it is a trick question. So the answer is you don't. You wait until the scene's over, maybe approach them after, say, compliment them on the scene, maybe ask if they would be interested in playing with you. And then we talk about respectful rejection, and how that's an important part. So enthusiastic consent, kind of along those lines.
We're very similar. When I throw smaller parties, I have a tradition where before the party, so I'll have like a group WhatsApp chat and I'll have a long list of like rules and things. Some about like, don't use these towels, but others are like consent, and whatever. And to make sure people were actually reading it, buried in all of the instructions is like a code word where if they say it to me, they gain an advantage in the Icebreaker game.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
I just want to go back for a second, if that was the end of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So the question was, like, I think even before leading up to that moment, JJ, of like getting to the application, it's like, okay, I'm a single guy. How do I even discover what the parties are? Who do I ask? Where do I go? And these parties often have a confidentiality agreement where like you and I are talking about this, but we're not naming specific parties. We're kind of being very general about it, although I know you do work for one specifically. And I think the answer that I have for guys that are just trying to figure everything out is to find where the community is before that. Like, And if you're in a rural place that doesn't have, say, some sort of poly meetup group, a mixer group, a happy hour, there's also like different non-monogamy things at like books, like a feminist bookstore. There's different things in different cities where you go and it's not a play party. It's just to meet people and hang out. And when you go there and you kind of become sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Genuinely inserted into the crowd by asking like thoughtful, empathetic questions. And it's not just all about sex, but it's about like communication and it's about relationship building. Then you naturally get information on those play parties. Or if you're in a slightly more rural area, or if you're traveling, you're a tourist, get on the apps. You get on the apps, you put yourself up as like, I am open, I'm looking for something, I'm looking for like-minded people as a single guy. It will take patience, but you'll eventually find like-minded people. It doesn't matter what your body type is. There's body types for all different types of people, and you'll find your crowd. And then you become friends with that person, and then you find the parties together. If not, you have friends that will give you that information on a one-on-one if they like you, and that by that time they are sort of okay with you and their reputation being attached to whatever party that they're attached to. It's a community system. And I think that guys are just so fixated, like the ones on FetLife, for example, so fixated on like, where's the party tonight? I want to go. Like it's a system that takes time. You have to meet people, but you can actually meet people if it's through apps or through mixers or meetups or whatever, and then go through the sort of odds and ends of actually meeting and talking to people and
even
finding
like
out where the
making
parties are
a
at.
friend who's in the space and then deciding, together that you want to go with, if it's a guy with a girlfriend, and then you don't necessarily like, you can tell each other that you both together are not necessarily going to hook up, but it's a way to kind of immerse yourself in the space and getting out of the mentality that it's just like a big like fuck scene, which by the end of the night it is.
It could be,
but that's not really the whole part of it.
Yeah, and the parties too, they're designed not necessarily for like, if you're husband and wife, no one's looking for your marriage certificate upon entry. They're looking to see if somebody out there in the world trusts you, and you can be accountability partners. And that someone else out there is okay with the idea of fucking you or being around you fucking. I think that's really the crust of it.
I've recently become a daddy.
Daddy.
A real, like an actual bio,
like a real
like a
life,
father.
a
leather
real
daddy.
life daddy.
Yeah, I have a 5-month-old daughter. So functionally, I have been the solo man at the parties because my wife stays home lately. She's taken a few months off from the party.
Maternity leave from the sex parties.
Yeah, essentially. Navigate these parties very delicately and carefully. I often come with a partner, but those partners don't necessarily stick by my side the whole time. So many times in the parties, I am the solo guy, and I make extra sure to follow all the rules and like even like demonstrate to other people at the party like this is the way that I will navigate since I'm the solo guy.
The rules are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're women-centric places. And it's, if, God forbid
I feel like women, like you will probably have more fun if the women there feel more comfortable. That just feels natural, because as a woman, I mean, there are just so many different spaces where women's opinions and comfortability just come second. But yeah, to be in a space, where a woman's pleasure and comfortability is prioritized, they will be more open to. It just feels better. You feel more comfortable all around when that, I feel like, is the priority.
I almost want to know, like, the people who came to our parties that told us stories of like, oh, we tried going to this one party, or we did go to this one party and it was awful. I'm like, how are there so many? I know they exist,
yes.
But it shocks me every time I hear it, like how terrible it was. And I understand the apprehension then from people who came to our parties.
I have two asterisks when people say a party was bad. Is
Shoot.
The first level is it bad because of your experience and the people at the party, or bad because of the party itself, like the structure and the staff there. And then if it is because of the staff there, was it like a safety comfort thing? Or was it just like, could be something as obvious as like the bed ratio? Because there are bad parties where they're very consent and comfortable, but it's like the bed ratio is horrible. It's like, how did you think this would work?
There is a venue that the party that you're attached to, there was a venue where there was a line to get into the...
I have strong opinions about feng shui.
Feng shui. You should write like a little JJ dictionary.
I'm sure that any party I go to, I have very strong thoughts about the way the bed should be organized and how many per person, etc.
Sex and aesthetics and
Sexthetics.
I think that's a very good point, because there's another party in Brooklyn that I've been to where there is no, for me, as like a very introverted person, there's just like the fuck room, and it's one giant loft, and there's nowhere to retreat.
Right.
If you want to get out of that energy for a minute, you know. And I'm just like, I need like a little section for like kink, and I need a little closed off area for cuddles, and then for play, and then for like snacks and drinks. Like I have different moods at different times. So
I just want to drop one strong opinion for anyone who might be throwing a sex party at any point. If it's a larger party, there's a lot of beds. I strongly feel that the beds should be parallel to the wall and not perpendicular.
Interesting.
Reason being, when it's perpendicular and the couple gets down and starts playing on the front half of the bed, suddenly you may have lost the back half of the bed for use. And the front couple doesn't know. Whereas if it's parallel to the wall, if it's against the wall long-wise, you won't get those accidental blocking of half the bed situations.
Right.
So when possible, try to do that.
That's smart. I think that's good advice.
yeah. I mean, if we're going into that department, like we're sitting on IKEA mattress toppers right now that we've definitely used for play parties.
We use these for our play parties.
Pad the whole floor, clear out the furniture.
Feel the stories through my fingers.
I know.
We call that stories you're feeling. Sure, we'll go there.
They've been cleaned. Did you have any people ask you questions?
Yes.
Or frequently asked questions in general.
Well, one I got was, what do you do with your clothes when you're there?
Oh, God, I've lost so many expensive pairs.
Step one,
I've lost.
take them off. That is what I do.
The things I have lost. I've lost a good pair of shoes. Oh, my God. Really? Flogger. Good.
So, I highly recommend. So I bring a bag full of toys, and I put the clothes instinctually in the bag immediately. And multiple times when people thought they misplaced it, I'm like, you mean this?
Oh, this?
Because everyone is looking for, especially if it's a theme party where everyone goes for the same out, like, oh, back to school, and everyone's got like the same schoolgirl outfit. There's like a million of them. I always wear very colorful patterned socks, so I always know which socks are mine.
Smart.
Yeah, so I don't have to like wonder, is this white sock mine or is that white sock mine?
It's like when I take a golden piece of ribbon around my suitcase in the carousel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's smart. And I always like layer, because I like to take little things off here and there, and then by the end of the night it's like my shirt's upstairs, my pants are down here, and then I'm leaving.
Literally, the one this weekend, my friend lost his shoes. He had to go home without shoes.
I've lost shoes.
You had to go home. Well, how did you get home?
I think I just left barefoot.
Okay.
Well, so I think someone took the shoes, because I scanned the entire party 5 times.
Wouldn't surprise me, because I fucking loved those shoes. They were really cute heels.
So if anyone's no one will ever know.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I know.
They're
so
gone.
Those shoes. Yeah.
They're gone.
This is good advice.
Right.
There's a lot of little things that people don't realize that go a long way. Like if you're hosting your own parties, I learned to duct tape any light switches that are in leaning area.
Yes. We learned that after the first one.
The first one, like there's nothing that breaks the mood more when you have all this mood lighting and everything's sexy and people are, and then the last call lights go on. Like, no.
What's so funny about that, I think in my head every time, so at a party when the lights accidentally go on, everyone's like, no, oh, and they all groan and they yell or whatever. Every time that happens, I'm thinking in my head, is no one realizing how potentially rude that is to whoever you're fucking at the time? Oh, God,
I don't
turn the lights back off. I just want to be at a party once where only one person does it, and then everyone just slowly turns their head.
Back into the shadows with you.
Just like what's his name? Homer Simpson sliding back into the
into
into the hedge. Yeah. So it's just a big pussy bush.
Pussy bush, yeah.
It's gone.
Oh,
anyway,
gosh.
duct tape the lights.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so I go to these parties and the foreplay events, and I talk nonstop about etiquette and ways to navigate at the parties. I have so many tips just coming out of every crevice and nook and cranny.
Bring them,
This
yeah.
very sexy body. Top of the list, I would say, if you're a solo or a duo, no matter who you're talking to, whatever the convo is, drop casually early into the convo, the kind of things you may want or not want, because I think a lot of people waste a lot of time. If you're there just to make friends, then just don't say anything. It's fine. Make friends. But if you're a couple looking for a woman and you spend 25 minutes talking to this beautiful woman and she's like, yeah, I'm just here to watch tonight. A lot of people don't realize just by casually dropping it early, it saves everyone time.
I'm really looking to be flogged tonight.
Yeah.
And then if, that's not their thing, then you can just kind of move on.
And by extension, I've developed a secret code, which now you guys can know as well.
Oh, shit. I'm ready.
I probably told you this at a party. Let's see if this sounds familiar. Left is for ladies, right is for guys. Squeeze is yes, please. Spanks is no thanks.
Yes.
So
yes.
as you're talking with another couple, let's say you're a duo, instead of having to, excuse us for a second, go aside, talk. Do you like the guy? Do you like the girl? Yes. Okay. And then coming back. So it's a sexy game of musical chairs. You might lose your opportunity. So you just reach to your partner's buttocks and you squeeze or slap the code so you know. And if it's quadruple squeeze, you don't have to, check in and, you don't lose any time or those potential partners in that situation.
I think that's good advice. I also think during, if you are playing with someone new, you don't necessarily have to have I feel like if you are in the middle of playing, instead of, giving someone a spank and then you don't know if they're going to like it or not, just ask, hey, do you like being spanked? Ask before doing things, just to get enthusiastic consent. Because what did you used to say? It's better to.
I always say, if we're going to talk about consent, then let me do the little 30-second spiel then. So first of all, there has to be defined what enthusiastic verbal consent is. And we throw around these terms, but there's people in the room that are like, I'm not sure what that means, and they're too afraid to ask. So I always still define what that means. Oftentimes in parties and sometimes in the party that you're at, there is this idea that, what's the word I'm looking for now? It's nonverbal, not assumed consent.
Implied.
Thank you. Implied consent or nonverbal implied consent.
Not a thing.
It's not a thing,
or not a thing that we.
It's not a thing that you should practice. It's okay, so you're a couple fucking next to a couple, and then the guy starts stroking the ankle of the woman next to him who's part of the other couple and tries to feel, quote unquote, feel things out.
Feel it out, yeah.
Feel it out. And it's just always, maybe it does work out, and maybe for a couple where it's the first time, they got lucky and they're like, okay, it worked that time, it's going to work again. But what happens the time it doesn't work? It's going to make everything uncomfortable, and I would rather go home knowing that I was rejected respectfully rather than going home and not knowing if maybe I ruined someone's night or ruined someone's play party experience indefinitely because I just didn't choose to use my words when I was very capable of using my words. So I always tell people there's nothing wrong with asking, and if they say no, then that is meant to be. There's no other situation where it could have been a yes. No is just going to be a no. Live with it. But also we practice, and obviously respectful rejection as well. So it's a system that goes both ways a little bit. But definitely don't want to ruin someone's night by just simply not asking. Don't want to be haunted by that.
Rejection is an asset. In my opinion, I have gotten so much success over the years by having the biggest pile of rejection that anyone has ever seen. almost solely attribute all the success to the fact that I am brave enough to find out what the situation is and straight up ask. And I don't remember all the rejections. I remember all the successes, but the rejections are they're a tool you can use to help you go through a situation quicker. What's worse, a woman saying right up front, I'm not interested, or you spending, 25 minutes of the party trying to like slowly work up the nerve to ask, and then she's like, no. Everyone go at your own pace for whatever makes you most comfortable. If you like to do a little dance with clear communication, dance the night away. But for me, at least, I have more of a fear of wasting time than the fear of rejection.
In those nights, it's the amount, you pay for tickets. Time is money.
And also, people that have said yes before will then say no. People that have said no before might say yes. And rejection just means in that moment, that is how they feel. It doesn't always necessarily mean that. It could change. You shouldn't bank on it changing. But you shouldn't use it as a way to value your self-worth. I mean, I would say go to boy bands. Every like teenage girl, you ask them who's the cute one, who's the ugly one in a boy band, and they all disagree.
Yeah,
and they're all.
It's usually the gay one that they love. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're all like attractive guys. It's like, oh, okay. Well, then like it's very obvious how relative attraction is. Yeah,
it's subjective.
Yeah, so don't let it affect your ego. And if you want to let it, I know I'm like annoyingly like optimistic, use this to your advantage. But like if you feel bad about it and you have this negative energy, you can still direct that towards something productive. Maybe you find healthy ways of like improving your body or the way that you flirt, or like you can use this negative energy to like become a better sexual potential partner.
And just to clarify for everyone, you're kind of famously sober at these parties.
Yes.
So you're doing all of this with no like liquid courage, quote unquote.
I've never been high or drunk in my life. I have drank exactly one glass of alcohol, and that was to celebrate the birth of my daughter.
Love it.
Yeah. Pink champagne.
Yeah.
I guess rosé champagne.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Doesn't even know. Who knows?
Yeah.
It felt weird, and I didn't even get drunk that night. I guess I was maybe a little tipsy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you? Yeah.
I don't know these things.
But anyway, it just goes to show you that like you can navigate these things. You can navigate them thinking about other people the way that you have, very consciously, in a caring way, and also in a very sober way as well. And I think the one other thing that I want to tack on to what you said is that sometimes them rejecting you has nothing to do with you. Maybe as if you're approaching a couple or someone in that couple, that unit, they're having a bad night as a couple, and you'll be thinking about it, stirring about it all night. And then the next time you see one of them, you'll be like, oh, we broke up immediately after that party. We were having an off night, and it was for a very good reason. I've had that happen to me multiple times where I met back up with someone like, oh, remember when the three of us went on that date? And we started talking about the weather by the end because it was just so bad. It's like, oh, that wasn't about you. We broke up the next week. It was about us. We were on our way out as a couple. It sometimes just has nothing to do with you personally.
There's so many situational circumstances. Could be they're getting over their period and they just don't want to expose this as much down there. Could be maybe there's like super sleep deprived. Maybe they're hangry. Maybe,
so many factors, that could have nothing to do with you. And
maybe someone smells nearby and it's throwing them off. It could be they just got in an argument with their sister an hour ago.
Right. Yeah.
So many different things.
Many things.
I've had one where the air is blowing strangely.
Yeah.
Maybe they had an edible and now they're very conscious of the way their arm hair is feeling against the air conditioning.
Yeah.
That was me, actually. I'm the one who felt that. And then I'm like, I'm not in the mood.
And by this person, I mean, it was me.
Vents can't move, but I believe people can.
Yeah.
That would have been
again,
roll one
maybe
foot.
Edible can't move too much at the time.
Yeah.
Another question?
Is saying no harder or easier at a party?
Saying no harder or easier?
I forget what saying no is like. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Like, do I know?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
That is a good question.
You say yes to a lot of things.
I do. I do say yes to a lot of things. I'm very open-minded. Open
Can't
legs,
confirm.
open mind. It kind of depends. I think it kind of depends. I feel like in the beginning, it was difficult just because I was in a headspace of I don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. But then as I've evolved, it's easier because I'm like, well, I want to make sure I'm having a good time. So it's easier. I've reprioritized why I say no or yes. And so I would say easier. I mean, but also like even in the wild outside of a party, if I'm fine saying no, and especially like in content or, even when I film pro scenes, I have to be such a self-advocate that it's very easy for me to say no to things that I don't care for, that I don't like. Or if something doesn't make me comfortable, I'll just stop everything and just say, doesn't make me comfortable. So that's kind of like a personal evolution, but I don't know if there's a specific answer to that.
Yeah. I do want to clarify that the parties that we're talking to are a little bit more quote unquote straight. And like what JJ said in the beginning, there's different flavors for everybody, especially in New York City. Mm-hmm. You're going to get more kink parties that are less about sex and more about the pageantry. And then there's going to be more like hot wifey, quote unquote, kind of parties, or more like bougie Manhattan loft type of things. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be like very, very like queer, pansexual, like radical feminist kind of spaces. Whatever you think parties are in your head, whatever media that you've consumed over the years, it's different than what you think that is. It's not like that one thing that your weird friend from college went to when they went to Berlin or something. Like there's other types of things out there too.
Yeah, so, it's not just a singular type of.
So these answers may vary and the etiquette may vary depending on
results may vary.
Yes, the results may vary.
In the rare case where I do have to reject someone, I phrase it, "We're not a match." And then I like to fluff it up a little by being like, but I do love to wingman. So who are you into? I want to reward their braveness and see maybe I can help you find someone else.
That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Because you get pleasure out of wingmanning and you're helping,
But you ever like with your friends, like, what if Thor had like Captain America's shield and he had Vision's powers? Like that's like sex parties, but with like hot people. Like, what if she sucked his giant dick while she was licking her pussy? Like, I can actually create this.
Yes.
There's this sense of
I just see you with like a mad scientist, but just with like putting people together.
Here's another tip. We should have like a little sound bite for every time there's a tip.
Like ding or something.
Just the tip.
Yeah.
Another tip is when I'm at a party and there are different play spaces separated in space, and the people I want here are there, or maybe I want multiple people and they've gone different ways. I like to spend the first flirty part of the party making clear which place I'm going to be and encouraging the ones that I'm into to also veer towards that space. And it's kind of a de facto rejection if I don't see them and they don't have to tell me.
Right.
So that makes rejection
smart.
Easier for them. But also, if I'm into A and I'm into B and C and they're all in front of me, it's a lot easier to a win-win. Everyone figures out the connections as opposed to, A was into me, but she's up here because B's up there and D's here now. You know what I mean?
That's smart.
Yeah.
Good tips.
I love those types of tips. It just makes everything harmonious and less scary.
Yeah, flows better.
Yeah.
Let's maybe end on JJ introducing one of his games, one of these icebreakers, something of the...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I wanted a little asterisk, a little note. I was like, okay, this isn't my show. I don't want to come on in and like take over the format or anything. And then right before I came, you're like, hey, you want to do a game or something?
No, that was me under her account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's like we both have podcasts, so I want it to be like a collaboration.
I squirt games, so I got this. I
squirt. I have a squirt game.
So you got some good squirt game girls. So I have 2 buzzers. I got these for Christmas, and if you hit one,
I love it.
That's a moan for those that don't know, and very clear. So
I love it.
If you guys want to grab these,
Oh yeah, that's the moan. Yeah.
I love these.
I guess, would you want to do it? I would ask one of you a question and you hit either no or maybe you both answer at the same time and see if you go for different buttons.
Yes. Here, I'll put this is the
So the moan is the yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. The red one's the no.
This is, try to hold them still. Okay, so let's do a sample question.
Should we hold it?
No, leave them down where you can hit.
Okay.
And I'll ask a question simultaneously. Let's do a tester.
Okay.
Would you two fuck each other? There you go.
We
See,
said
it matches
yes.
up. Nice.
Okay.
Now, would you fuck Forrest Whitaker?
Sorry, Forrest.
Sorry,
See,
Forrest.
of like mine.
So talented.
Would you fuck Timothy Chalamet?
I hit it yes.
He looks too young for me.
Yeah.
He looks too young.
Well,
I think he's attractive, but that's not the question. The question was, would you? Well, actually, it's too late. I went with my answer. I'll commit.
All right, so Timothy.
Sorry, Timothy Chalamet. I know you're tuned in to the podcast.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask them in the first person, but you're answering referring to yourself.
Okay.
Like, I love dick. Oh, that was the first double moan there.
Double moan.
Okay. I would fuck a Jedi. Very quick.
Yeah.
They're very asexual, but also very noble, very hot. Usually.
Yeah.
And get consent before using the Force. I'm just riffing.
We're gonna have so many good clips. I'm telling you. Okay.
Okay, let's go with can I get a little personal? Can I learn some kinks and stuff about you guys?
Okay.
That's what you're here for. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have masturbated to animated fan fiction.
That's a no from me.
She's still thinking. Really? You thought a long time.
I've masturbated to hentai.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that's fan fiction, animated fan
because
fiction.
it wasn't a specific.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like.
It wasn't like Pokemon hentai.
No,
Right.
it wasn't like a. Yeah, the ones that are like Family Guy. I'm like, that doesn't really turn me on. Yeah.
You aren't into Cleveland.
Oh, God.
Watching like Brian fuck Lois is like weird to me.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good impressions. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane is getting really hard right now.
There you
He's
go.
also listening.
Since you're tuning in.
If I could give myself oral sex, I totally would.
Oh.
It's very quick.
Totally.
And I have.
Okay.
Have you really?
I'm not that flexible anymore. I've gained a little pandemic weight that is way past pandemic now. Just weight.
I wish I had a dick.
I have as well, too.
Oh my gosh. I'm so A, impressed, and B, envious.
Well, maybe if you do Pilates like you keep telling yourself.
I'm not going to eat myself out. It's just not. I have a very short torso. I have to like, usually in order for me to orgasm, I have to like point my legs. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole production.
Yeah.
There you go.
The point would be, okay, yeah.
Yes. Listen, I don't think I could do it, but maybe I'll try. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. That's a content idea.
Okay, let's say when it comes to sexual attractiveness, on a scale of 1 to 10, I am at least a 6. I am at least a 7. I am at least an 8.
Do I have makeup on?
It gets your best self, let's say.
I'll say I'm an 8.
I'd say I'm a 7.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, Matt is. This is only for Chelsea.
Okay.
Matt is underselling himself. Aw. Matt is at least an 8. Matt is at least a 9. Matt is at least a 10. Okay.
Pandering.
I knew if it got so high, he'd immediately be like, invalid, throw out the
Pandering.
scores.
I think you're a 10.
Fake news.
I can reach orgasm by masturbating and looking myself in the eyes in a mirror.
I don't know. I've never.
Was that just for her again?
It's for either of you, yeah.
I've never done that.
Do you think you'd be able, by looking yourself in the eyes in the mirror masturbating, you'd be able to reach orgasm?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. It's too. I don't want to. I can't. I feel like that. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Can I tell you something I have done before that
Yes.
took a lot of time and multiple efforts?
Mm-hmm.
I have orgasmed without touching myself.
But someone else was? Yeah, that's
No.
pretty easy. When...
No, I have orgasmed laying on a bed without touching myself.
Okay.
I have brought myself to orgasm.
By intent, or was it just like...
I was trying to.
Whoops. Okay.
No. I was like purposeful. I was like trying to see if I could just like think about something and just kind of like move my body.
What were you thinking about?
I don't even remember at the time. I was just so
Convenient.
impressed that I could do it. But yeah.
It's got to be something so intensely dirty. Like, no.
It might have been a porn that I had just watched and I was like, oh, this is so hot. And I was like using that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Superpower.
I've only done it once. Once is all you need.
It's one of those things you can't really prove too, because someone's like, show me it. Even if you did it, it'd be like, well, you just shook a little.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Started
I know
out.
I did it in my heart of hearts. So
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Let's go with, I could reach orgasm by listening back to my own podcast.
No.
You think about it.
Yeah, I had to think about it.
Okay. I would totally fuck every person who was on my podcast.
Nah, not all. Not all my type.
I think I have a lot of them actually.
Already, statistically.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of them have worn you down too.
I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I would, if not have, most of them.
Oh dear.
Wacky. I would totally fuck my clone.
Absolutely.
Well, I've given myself oral sex before, so yeah, I think that one's a yes for me.
Okay. Fine. I gotta make it tougher then. Of the two of us, I am the most skilled sexually. Oh, hesitancy.
Yeah, no, of between Chelsea and I think she's the most skilled.
Is it? That's my question to you.
Yeah, I do think she's the most skilled
Well,
sexually.
you verbalized your answer, but you hit the wrong one. Okay.
Oh wait,
like each asking for us, like
Or do you think you're more skilled than Chelsea was?
Oh, do I
and you,
think? No,
and you
I'm
hesitated
not-
a
I'm
long
not-
time.
I'm not.
And now he's covering his tracks.
No, I do not think I am. That's why I'm also like I like the directing chair of things. I like to put things together. I like to see that my ideas unfold. But the
Yeah.
actual like when the camera's on me, I'm like, and then like metaphorically too. Like it's like all right. Yeah.
and I'm just confident.
As you should be.
It
Look
took
at
a
you.
long time to get here, by the way.
Look
I
at
used
you.
to have a lot of self-hate, but
I'll just-
now we're in our self-love era.
Now congratulate
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like vomit compliments nonstop. So if you need me to trail you,
I never,
She'll just
never
take all the vomiting
run
com-
away
Yeah, just-
from compliments ever.
all over you. Yeah.
Amazing.
Baby birdie with compliments.
Speaking of baby bird, so the
What a visual.
Compliments.
speaking of baby bird though, so the podcast is The Birds and the Bee.
Yes.
Mhm.
You're the bee, so would all of your guests be the birds then?
I think I tried to think it like more like having a talk about like the birds and the bees, like sex talk.
I feel
Yes.
unofficially every guest should be a bird of some sort. I call cassowary. That would be my.
I'm
my
not
bird
mad
of
about it, A. And B, what's that?
It's a very large,
know?
like land dwelling bird. I believe it's flightless.
A
Like
cassoway?
cassowary.
I was like,
I
what
mean,
did you
there's
just
a lot
call
of
me?
good one. There's a
God, this is so embarrassing for you.
No.
You don't know this.
My bird knowledge is
could
apparently
be a bird of paradise. I don't know what bird you would be. A pelican, perhaps. They can really deep throat very well.
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm an
it'd be,
ostrich.
An ostrich.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yes.
tall, goofy motherfucker.
I feel like an emu is a little.
I'm definitely an emu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emu.
Ostrich,
Yeah.
but a little more down south, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be like a penguin. Or
Okay.
A flamingo.
A flamingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Why flamingo?
I think they're pretty. and
Facts.
a little silly. They look kind of silly. Just, they got their one leg up and their head in the sand.
And they could murder us if they really wanted to.
I'm like, why are you a flamingo? Because my leg's up, my head's in the sand sometimes. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I have very limited bird knowledge, so I like.
Well, no one's perfect.
I like. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Final thoughts.
What would you like to plug?
I would love to plug Sexy Show. SEXIE.
Why is it Sexy Show?
Because just like foodies for food, sex nerds are sexies.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I thought you just needed a different way to spell sexy.
Yeah, for the SEO, right?
No, that's what. Yeah, they're trying to get past the Instagram, Meta, and all that.
Yeah, but I think you guys are sexies. You're sex nerds, and it's a honorary title. But on the show, we do tons of fun games like that. We did the game What's Inside Me. We did Sex Dungeons and Dragons. We did a fake orgasm contest for charity. You played in our Squid Game parody.
Yes.
And I actually, next episode coming out, might be out by the time this premieres, is episode 100. It's a recap show, clips of all my top 100 moments. And you're in 2 of them. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Do you have any guess of which 2 moments?
I don't.
We can spoil it here if you'd
like to. Yes, tell
know.
me.
Yeah. So the first moment was when I asked Matt.
Oh no! Oh no! I still haven't lived that down.
I'm ready.
I have not. Okay, go ahead.
When I asked him to describe your genitalia, and you were very upset at the descriptive words he used. Symmetrical was
symmetrical.
The first word that came out.
I described him in this just I was like, he's beautiful. I love it. And he was like, you're symmetrical.
And it just kept going and going. Like I would try to get the conversation back on track. And it was every other question we would come back to the word symmetrical. And
symmetrical. Wow, what a way.
The password is symmetrical.
What a way to be described. Okay.
I was in tears laughing because...
Oh my God.
I didn't know. I was thrown off guard. Okay. It was early on in a relationship and I'm like...
Symmetrical.
At this point, I can't do role play because I just feel too goofy. I can't get into the moment. And when someone asks me some sexy question... Okay, all right.
You're talking yourself into...
But I stupidly tried to change the subject. I'm like, okay. Describe her breasts. And then there was an awkward pause and you're like, symmetrical. And I'm like, oh no. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the other one?
The other one is all Chelsea this time. In the Squiz Game, you gave a historically horrible response to a question that was so ridiculously wrong that, fun fact, I'm guessing you haven't listened to the episode yet. Totally fine. But we make fun of you throughout the episode because the answer is so incredibly bad.
Wait, what was the question and what is the answer?
So at one little mini spoiler, at one point in this Squiz Game, so in general it's a sex trivia game where the worst answer each time gets murdered. And there was a tie, and it came down to a tie between Chelsea and someone else. And the question, it was a ridiculous question, and it was, I believe, how many pints of semen does a blue whale ejaculate? And the correct answer was 35.
Oh my God.
And Chelsea's guess was 2 million.
Oh, that is a very Chelsea answer.
But so it was so incredibly wrong that I broke down laughing. And so you got eliminated at that point. But later in the game, the way that I eliminated contestants was I did the math. 2 million pints of blue whale semen would fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So I eliminated future contestants by drowning them in 2 million pints of blue whale semen. So.
Honestly, that tracks.
Yeah.
It tracks.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's science.
That's science.
It's science. It's important to know. So.
Math, birds, not my thing. But let's talk about sex.
There you go.
I'm your girl.
There you go.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
Awesome. Sexy Show.
Yeah, so listen to Sexy
SEXIE.
Show. We'll link it. We'll put it up.
And become a patron.
Yes.
I have a baby now. If she goes hungry, you're partially to blame.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
No pressure.
Facts.
No pressure, but please go support him
Yeah.
or else his family will suffer.
Yeah. Fair point. Out of their mouths.
Yeah.
All right, we're off the rails now.
Okay. JJ, thank you so much for being here. I adore you since the day I met you until...
Had to get one last in.
Yes.
Don't interrupt the compliments.
Yeah. From the day I met you until now, I adore you. I think you're wonderful.
Including now and into the future.
And including now and into the future and probably after I die. So
I actually also want to, real quick, I want to throw in a compliment to you. I've recorded over 100 episodes of the show now. And out of everyone I've interviewed, there's literally, if I had to like choose a co-host, you would be like one of the top 2 or 3 people that I would put on the short list.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. So I think,
Amazing. Well,
and by default,
so
it would be a woman because I want to, it's always the guy's perspective. So
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I love that. That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
so most of your guests are, I'm sorry, I wanted to go back and define who do we have on the show, just so other people know.
Try to get a plethora. I will say from the very first episode, it tends to be more women than men because I am more interested in the female perspective. Plus, every episode, you already have the man's perspective. So I try to have 3/4 of the guests be women or feminine or, not, straight guys, basically. But we have a...
Can't have straight guys on the podcast. No one will watch.
I wish I was pan or,
Be who you are.
Yeah, I've been trying, square peg, round hole. Different hole, different peg.
Oh, gosh.
Love it.
But we've had, authors, porn stars, people who write erotica, people who do the voice work on audio erotica, OnlyFans content creators, people who run sex parties, people who make independent films about sex, all sorts of fun people.
Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. Love
Sweet.
it.
Yeah. Go watch, subscribe, become a patron, all the things. Support JJ. We love JJ. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, for tuning in.
Thank you.
And we will be back. Great. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait. No, I fucked it up. Whatever. Bye.